Announcing the commencement of the first purge.
I want you to change the world, and don't think that this is going to happen peacefully or you can do it alone. We need to kill the rich. You get out there, you use your weapons, and you rip Washington apart. You hunt down the billionaires, the bank bosses, the CEOs, the scumbags and the liars, the governors, the lobbyists, the senators, because they're all the same, and you hang them.
Just remember all the good the purge does.
Good morning, everyone. July 25th, 2018. I'm Eric. More and more of what we do depends on government permission. Government permission. Before I get started, another YouTube channel got taken down, SGT Report. I know I bust their balls quite a bit about being statists, but they still have the right to say what they wish. How long is it going to be until it's my channel? Which is why I have a backup channel. Anti-Authoritarian, YouTube, and Kill the State on BitChute. Please do subscribe to those channels, just in case these assholes take me down. With my 199, 98, something like that, subs, I'm sure they're anxious to tear me down, but I digress. So, more of what we do depends on government permission. This comes from Reason. Do you have a permit for that? If you want to keep that permit, you'd better do as you're told. Increasingly, that's the theme of modern America. More and more of what we do is dependent on permission from the government. That permission, unsurprisingly, is contingent on keeping government officials happy. Rub those officials the wrong way, and they'll strip you of permission to travel the roads, leave the country, or even make a living. That's not a recipe for a free country. In February of this year, the IRS began sending the U.S. State Department lists of Americans who have a seriously delinquent tax debt, so that these individuals can be denied the right to travel overseas. This only applies to a seriously delinquent tax debt, cautions tax attorney Robert W. Wood. More than $50,000. Even so, that $50,000 includes penalties and interest. A $20,000 tax debt can grow to $50,000, including penalties and interests. Passport revocation isn't contingent on criminal conviction or suspicion of flight. Your travel documents can be yanked just for the outstanding debt, even if you're already outside the country. If you're already overseas, the State Department may, but this is not required, provide a passport permitting your return home, writes former federal prosecutor Justin Gelfand. And a 1952 statute makes it a crime for a U.S. citizen to enter or exit the country without a valid passport. That law requiring a passport to cross the border in either direction, combined with the threat to strip passports from alleged tax debtors, effectively make the country one big debtor's prison. No, it just makes the country one big prison. So, I've been telling you for years now, you're not free. You are just free range. You live on a giant free-range tax farm. What's the connection? What connection is there between taxes and the right to travel? None. Members of Congress and other government officials just thought they could coerce more people into meeting IRS demands if they made the right to travel not so much a right anymore, dependent on keeping the taxmen happy. Not that the right to travel within the borders remains free of government demands. If you take a look at the website for your state's Department of Motor Vehicles, chances are you'll find language similar to, once the Texas Department of Public Safety is notified by the Attorney General of Texas or a Texas court ordering a revocation of DPS will revoke a Texas resident's driving privilege for failure to pay child support. Texas didn't impose that requirement on its own. It was required to do so by the federal government. Under the provisions of the Welfare Reform Law passed in 1996, states must adopt laws that allow them to suspend drivers' professional, occupational, and recreational licenses of individuals who owe overdue support, according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, which means that not just travel, but also the right to hold a job and make a living is at issue in a country that now requires licenses of roughly 1/4 of all workers. All 50 states have complied with that federal requirement. The National Conference of State Legislature reports, although the triggers for revocation vary, some states allow for temporary license or allow debtors to travel to and from work so they can at least earn the money to pay the outstanding debt. But that's up to the state. And this is one of the things the state loves to do. They love to stack the deck against you and make it nearly impossible for you to, meet its requirements. Take a person that's on probation, for example. When you're in the courtroom and the judge sentences you to probation, he adds, in a lot of cases, many different conditions. And if he wants you to go to parenting classes or drug classes or couples classes or any of these other kinds of therapies, you must do this, or you'll go to prison or sit in county jail. Now, I know it doesn't sound hard, but you get 3 or 4 of these classes and you got to pay for them and hold a job at the same time. It's not as easy as it sounds. Also up to the states is the process for suspension, which is administration with little in the way of due process. Arizona law has given the Department of Child Support Services authority to administratively suspend a professional or occupational license without going to court, boasts the state's Child or Division of Child Support Services. This DCSS may request the court to suspend or restrict a driver's license or recreational license. While the details vary, most states allow for a window of time from a couple of weeks to a few months to pay up or appeal the bureaucratic gut punch. Good luck with that appeal. What connection is there between license to drive the roads and work in your field and child support obligations? Again, none. They're just a handy lever to extract compliance from the population without too much muss and fuss. They're such a handy lever, in fact, that government officials have succumbed to the temptation to extend their use. In 19 states, government agencies can seize state-issued professional licenses from residents who default on their educational debts. The New York Times reported last fall another state, South Dakota, suspends driver's license, making it nearly impossible for people to get to work. As with revoking passports to extract tax payments and denying licenses to collect child support, stripping licenses from people who fall behind on student loan involves administrative procedures with limited due process. It also, finally, may be a bit more for even some politicians. No, these politicians love their ability to pull these levers and to fuck you as hard as they can. And that's why. That's why I hate the state and every motherfucker that works within it. This is the very opposite of freedom. And I keep telling all of you out there that freedom cannot exist while there are two opposing forces, freedom and law. They are opposing. They cannot exist in the same time and space. You're either free or you're locked down by excessive law. And we all know that this is the case for our country. You have to have permission for everything. Licenses. I went and did a computer job yesterday. A lady calls me up and says, I can't get my computer to turn on. I drive all the way there, and the computer was unplugged. Huh? Anyway, thought I'd share this with you. Hope everyone has a great day. Remember, kill the state before the state kills you.